What's going on, guys? JTO Take One Airsoft here again, just for a really quick, pretty simple video, just going over a couple different nozzles that we have. We have here the Capa. This is the blue enhanced nozzle. This is their newest nozzle for the high capas, and we also have the Edge standard loading nozzle. So some minor differences between these two, and the reason why I picked these two is because they're assembled just a little bit different. So functionality, you know, is they both serve the same purpose, but they do go together a little bit differently. So figured I would just throw together a quick video on how to assemble these and some of the pros and cons of both. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, as you can see, we're going to start off with our Capa air nozzle. So pretty simple assembly here. Probably a little bit easier than the Edge one, but that doesn't make it any better or worse than it. So here we have the air nozzle itself. This is just the shell, right? And then we have all of the internals. So here we have your flow valve. We have your piston head that Capa includes in the package, which I think is awesome. We'll get into that in 1 second. An O-ring as well, and then your flow valve retention pin as well. So what I really like about Capa and the fact that they include these is that these are meant specifically for their air nozzles, right? So each manufacturer will have slightly different internal diameters of their air nozzle. Now it's just going to be fractions of a millimeter, so very minuscule differences, but they do have differences. So that's why I really do enjoy that Capa includes their own gasket and their own O-ring. So assembling these things, super easy. So you have your shell here. And another thing that I really like that Capa does is that they already include the spring kind of semi pre-assembled. I mean, it's super easy to pull off if you guys want to throw a stronger spring on there or something, but already pre-assembled, so super easy just to drop in. And you guys will notice on the Capa flow valves, there are a couple of unique features to this compared to the Edge one. So here you can see the opening to the flow valve. And then up top here, you also have kind of a groove. That is what your pin will sit in. Like this. Whoops. Your retention pin will sit in just like that when it's in the air nozzle. And this opening on your flow valve, you want matching the bottom of your air nozzle where the where your air is intaked from, or gas, whatever you're using, is intaked from the magazine, which is right here. Okay, so, and what's really important about these is that you want to make sure that these have as good of a mate or mating with your magazine gasket as possible. That's why you'll see the more seasoned players running upgraded gaskets, because it just increases that air seal, makes your gun more efficient, your mags will last longer, and you can even get higher FPS out of your gun. So let's get into installing it. Super easy. So you just take your flow valve with the spring down, and again, making sure that this opening on your flow valve is facing the opening on the air nozzle. So we'll drop that bad boy in there, and looks like it might have gotten turned around when I did that. There we go. So then I like to use just a little tiny punch just to get her in place. Then I'll use that same punch to press that air nozzle down, and the flow valve down in the air nozzle. Then I'll take the pin, and also unique feature of the Capa nozzle, at least in comparison to the Edge nozzle, is that the retention pin just goes through and through. And you guys will see the difference on the Edge air nozzle. So now that we have that pin in there, we can remove our punch. And as you guys can see there, let me see, I'm not sure how well it will focus, but you guys should be able to see that pin, it's not wanting to focus, but that pin is laying across the flow valve perfectly in that groove. So that's how easy these cow air nozzles are to assemble. And then we'll just push that pin the rest of the way down. Make sure that we don't have any of it sticking out on either side. We are good to go. And then I always like to take a little bit of lube. You guys can either use a medium thickness or a light thickness. I tend to go with medium for this stuff because it really helps hydrate those gaskets and O-rings, and make sure that you have a nice good seal. Now you guys don't need to go crazy with the lube, alright, but just enough. Again, this thing shouldn't be drenched. You don't want a ton of lube being shot into your bucking. That's one of the places that you really don't want any lube at all. So now we got the cow air nozzle fully assembled. And now let's go ahead and move on over to the edge nozzle. Alright guys, now we got the edge nozzle here. And again, this one goes together a little bit differently. Nothing too crazy though. And if you guys are interested in either of these air nozzles or others, we also carry Garter, AIP. Definitely carry a couple other brands, but they're slipping my mind at the moment. We have all these available both in store and online. So please check us out right here, takeoneairsoft.com, or swing by our arena in Manassas, Virginia. Alright, so here we have the edge shell. So we've been selling these for a few years now. Same with Cow. Cow used to only have their pink mood nozzles, which, you know, kind of had mixed reviews. They weren't my favorite. Edge, aka Airsoft Masterpiece, has always been making pretty quality products, and their air nozzles are definitely included in that statement. I always have pretty good results with them, especially when they're paired with the Edge blowback unit. So here are our internals for the Edge air nozzle, and as you guys will notice, our flow valve on this is significantly different than the one in the cow nozzle. Now this is pretty much symmetrical on all sides, minus this little notch up here. That is an indicator on how we should install this flow valve. So you also got a spring, just like on the cow, and then instead of a retention pin that the cow one had, we have this, I guess I'll call it like a flow valve bracket, for lack of better terms. If I can find the actual product name, I'll put it somewhere here on the screen. But so as you guys can see, we have this. This will sit on this bad boy like that when we install it. And then we have this little itty bitty tiny Phillips head screw. I don't even think that the camera is able to pick this screw up. So that will go in there. You can see a little tiny hole right up there. So this little screw will hold this bracket in place and keep all the internals together. So let's get right into installing it. So same design, similar design externally, right? Here's the cow, here's the edge. And when we're installing our edge parts, our flow valve, remember earlier I mentioned that notch right up here. So that notch you want facing the top of your air nozzle, where the screw hole in your air nozzle is, which is right here. So we're gonna go ahead and drop that bad boy in there. Alright, seems to be lined up pretty good. And then you want this hole on your, I already forgot what I called it, but on your flow valve retention clip sort of thing, you want that hole facing the hole on your air nozzle, because that's where the screw will go through. So let's drop that on in there. And now I like to take a punch. You'll need something. My fingers are too fat to fit in the air nozzle, but you'll need something to hold that down in place. while we put the screw in. Now these are very tiny holes that we're lining up, so don't get frustrated if it takes you a couple shots. It typically does for me as well. And we'll go ahead and start screwing that in. And it looks like I got it on the first try, surprisingly. Alright, so now that bad boy is screwed in there. Make sure that it's nice and flush. No metal showing. Looks to be good to me. And then again, we'll take a little bit of lube again. Just a drop or two inside here. Just to make sure that it keeps that O-ring or gasket lubricated. Just a little bit of lube on the outside to make sure that it's sliding nice and smoothly. Alright. So now that we have that thing assembled, we are pretty much good to go. So don't quote me on this, but I would say in my experience about 99% of high Capa air nozzles assemble this way or almost exactly similar. That's why I selected these two to do this video on. Again, if you guys are interested in either of these products or anything like it, whether it's high Capa, AAP, and now we carry a lot more, please check us out at takeoneairsoft.com. Or if you guys are local, please swing by our arena and pro shop in Manassas, Virginia. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to see any videos in the future or have any recommendations, please let us know in the comment section below. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Awesome. Thank you guys.